Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, some big news coming out this evening. I hope you're all doing well. Obviously, did a show earlier, but had to come on again today. Two shows in one day. Marcus Rashford wants to leave. Marcus Rashford wants to join PSG. Some big breaking news coming out today, just in the last sort of half an hour or so. So yeah, we're going to talk about this news. It's breaking news. It's really quite surprising as well for a lot of people. We're going to discuss this tonight. We're going to talk about sort of what's going on, what we think about Rashford, whether we think it's time for him to go, etc. So as always, guys, please get involved in the comments. Please do like the video. Please subscribe if you're new. But this is breaking news. Really is breaking news tonight. Marcus Rashford wants to leave. For me, I think it's time to sort of let him go. But I think we've got to let him go for the right amount. I think it's got to be, for me, towards the 70 million mark. I would expect. We need to invest in this squad. So let me know what you guys think. Anyway, thanks a lot for coming along, Miles. If we could get a decent fee, yeah, I think that's the key thing, Miles. Decent fee, and we've got to make sure we sort of reinvest it back into the squad. They're my conditions, really. There's no point selling Rashford and then not replacing him. I think we already need a couple of forward players anyway. I think if Rashford were to go, I think we probably need 3 forward players. Let me just sort the lighting out, guys, and I'll be back. But yes, guys, big news, big news. For me, I think we should let him go. I've always said if a player wants to leave, let them go. I've said that about every player, whether it's a player I like or not. If a player wants to leave, you let them go. But I think the fee's got to be right. I really do. I think we've got to get towards the £70 million mark. I really do. He's English. He's still 24 years old. I know he hasn't had a good season, sort of couple of seasons, really. Even when he was scoring lots of goals and getting assists, is his overall game all up to scratch? I'm not too sure. I don't think it is. So it's big news, guys. It's big news. But for me, I think it's time to part ways. I really do. I think it's time to part ways. I think it's time that we, let Marcus Rashford go. He wants to go. Let him go. So that's my thought. That's my thoughts, guys. But let me know, guys. Get your thoughts in the comments. Big breaking news. Marcus Rashford wants to join PSG. There's been some talks already between with Rashford and PSG, I believe. So yeah, this is massive news. It really is. My worry is the replacement. It really is. Like, if let's say Rashford stayed, right? Let's say Rashford stays. We've got Rashford and Sancho out wide, really. Martial's a number 9. He wants to be a number 9. Elanga, probably not up to scratch. Ahmad, Pellistri, Garnacho, still young. I still think we need 2 forward players if Rashford stays. If Rashford were to leave, I think we need to sign 3 players, and I think we could do that easily. If you look at the likes of Gakpo, we covered earlier in the show. If we look at the likes of Elise, you could get Gakpo and Elise for a combined probably £70 million. You could probably get Pedro Neto for £50 million. You could get Kalajdzic for £20 million. You can sign 3 players. You can sign 2 players for the money that you're probably going to sell Rashford for. So I think it makes sense as long as we replace Rashford. And some people are saying, Rashford, he wasn't really that much quality anyway recently. But you still need to replace him. You still need to replace players. You need numbers, especially because of the World Cup. Okay, let's go through a few comments. So we've got Terrell. What sort of fee do you think we'll get? I think around that. I agree. I think around 60, 70 million. I wouldn't like to see. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading through a bit of news. I wouldn't like to see anything less than that sort of fee. So I agree, Terrell. I agree. Miles, you're correct. He doesn't deserve a new contract. Neither do a lot of these players, by the way. Nobody really deserves a new contract. So we've got to be ruthless. He wants to go. I'm not going to stand in his way, and I don't think we should. The bigger question, yeah, that is the big issue. Alric, thanks a lot for coming along, Alric. That is the big issue. Like, I'm happy to see Rashford go, right? Not because I hate Rashford, but just because I don't think Rashford has offered us a lot recently. Same as players like Martial. I just don't think he's offered us a lot, and I just think he wants to leave. He wants to leave. So why would you keep a player? It's the same with Ronaldo. I said with Ronaldo, let Ronaldo go, but no real offer came in that he wanted to, no real club came in that he wanted to go to, and no real offer came in that he liked. So, well, we've obviously kept Ronaldo. But that is the issue that Auric's put up. This is the big condition for me. I'm happy to see Rashford go as long as we reinvest the money. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, and everyone has put their thoughts on Twitter. Fair enough. I put a tweet out, and there's some people that disagree. But I've said this before. If Rashford were to stay, we need 2 signings in the forward areas. If he leaves, we need 3. Whether you think it will happen or not, I think it's irrelevant. It's what we need. In my eyes, it looks like Ten Hag wants 2 forward players. We've been after Gakpo, we've been after Arnautovic, we're possibly in contact with Kalajdzic. So I think we want 2 forward players. And if Rashford leaves, we'll need another. We really will. This squad is threadbare in the forward positions. It really is. So I want to see a lot of investment, but we'll see. Terrell says exactly. I think it's more of his side pushing for a new deal. Yeah, that is the, I suppose, slight concern. But, I just don't see. I think Rashford has received fairly fair criticism, but some unfair abuse. So I don't like to see a player getting abuse. I don't think that's fair. The same with Martial, Pogba, Maguire. Abuse is different than criticism. I think it's fair to have given sort of Rashford criticism, but I think a lot of people, he has received a lot of abuse. I don't think that's right. But at the end of the day, you look at from Rashford's point of view, do you think he really wants to stick around after sort of the way his career's gone? I think, well, not many of the fans are really that keen on me. Rightly so at the moment. Not many of the fans are really supporting me. Rightly so, because he didn't run for a lot of last season. He didn't run on against Brighton defensively, didn't work hard for the team. So rightly so, he got criticised. So I think if you look at Rashford from a Rashford point of view as well, why would you want to stay at Manchester United at the moment? You're better off going. So I think if it's not pushing for a new contract, then I'm happy. If it is for pushing for a new contract, I hope United don't fall for it yet again. Auric says Anthony would solve so many. Yeah, Anthony's a good player, but I think we can get players for much better value. Like, I think we can sign Elise, Gakpo, Neto, Kalajdzic. I covered some players earlier. If you guys watched that show, I covered earlier. Even more important now, that show I did earlier about signing a new forward. I put some players out there, and we had a look at some players' strengths and weaknesses, which players we think would be best fits for United, and we went through those players earlier. We're probably going to need 3 players now if Rashford were to go. And I know that we don't replace players. That's why I'm worried. So I think a lot of people have made some good sort of points, is that I'm worried about who we're going to replace Rashford with, not particularly because Rashford's irreplaceable in terms of what he offers in terms of quality, but in terms of squad depth, squad numbers. You can't let Rashford go and only sign 1 forward or even 2 forwards this summer. If you let Rashford go, you're probably going to have to sign 3 players, because if you look at our squad, you've only got Sancho left if Rashford were to leave, who's he's not even proven at United yet, but he's first team quality on the wide area. You've got Martial, but he prefers 9. As I said, you've got Ahmad Pellistri and Garnacho, who probably aren't quite ready yet for first team football week in, week out. It's the World Cup year. You're going to need at least 2 players per position. If Rashford were to go, we've got, as far as I'm concerned, we've got 1 player who can play on the left or the right out of 4 that we probably need. I don't know whether you guys agree with the way I'm thinking. This is the way I think things through. You need 2 players for every position, and you need 3 goalkeepers. If you've got some players that can cross over and play a versatile, that's brilliant. But other than Sancho and possibly Martial on the left, but he prefers the 9, you haven't got anybody who's first team quality in my eyes now to play in the Premier League for United. So, as we've said before, as Auric has said here, very well said, Auric, this is what worries me. What happens with the money? Does it go back into the Glazers' pockets? What happens with the money? So that's my worry. Miles says he's already on 200k per week. His new deal will be close to 300k. Yeah, you're right, Miles. And there's a lot of players on wages that they shouldn't be on. We all know that. You're correct. Danjuma, yeah, I wouldn't mind Danjuma. I think the most important thing is, Miles, the most important thing right now for Manchester United is getting numbers in. It really is. And I'm not saying that you go out and buy players, that just any players. I'm not saying that. They obviously need to be quality players. But you need to look at the market. We looked at that. I did that video earlier. We looked at Neto, Elise, Diaby, Kalajdzic, and Gakpo. We looked at those 5 players. You've got to look at those types of players. Particularly Kalajdzic is available for 20 million. I know he's a striker, but then if you sign him, you can then move Martial maybe more towards the left, and then you've got that option more frequently rather than covering up a striker position. But I think you've got to look smartly at what you need. You always need 2 players in every position. You need that, at least that depth, and we haven't even got the first team quality at the moment, let alone the depth. So we actually need to sign. I think Gakpo could come in, and he could push for a first team place. But I think if we were to sign 2 or 3 wide players, Gakpo could be a good option off the bench, or Kalajdzic as well. So we've got to sign players. We've got to sign players. Alien Tenor, big up, mates. I would take the deal. I would as well. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Would you sell Marcus Rashford? What sort of a fee would you like? I've said before, I think one person said around 60 million. I'd look in excess of, I'd look for around 70 million at least. 60, 70 million at least I would want. I don't think his recent form warrants that. But if you look at his age, if you look at his nationality as well, for the price of those players, he's going from England to a foreign country. I just don't see how we sell him for less than 60, 70 million. I really, really don't. So for me, guys, we've got to take this deal. Marcus Rashford wants to leave, but the big thing is replacing him. We've got to make sure we replace him well. But please, guys, smash a like on the video right now. I've come onto this show. I was actually in the gym, and now I've just come onto this show straight away, giving you guys some thoughts on Marcus Rashford. So please do smash a like on the video, guys. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is there anyone who wouldn't sell Rashford? Is there anyone who still thinks we should keep Rashford? Let me know, guys, in the comments. But this is a really weird summer, It really is. Like, I think this is we know every summer is quite a painful one. I know last summer was quite good in terms of Sancho, Varane, Ronaldo, although it might not turn out to be that good in the future with Varane, his injuries, and Sancho hasn't kicked on Ronaldo. Debate about him, should he come or not. But if you look at last summer, there was some excitement among the fan base. I think there really was. Although we didn't sign a midfielder, I think people were quite happy with the quality of players we brought in. Then you look at this summer, and it's been quite crazy, like what's been happening in the whole transfer market. You've got Rafinha, thought he was going to Arsenal, Chelsea, and then he ended up at Barcelona. You've got Frenkie de Jong, that's still going on. Is Frenkie de Jong going to Chelsea? Is he staying? Is he going to us? Another club could even come in for Frenkie de Jong. So it's just been such a crazy transfer window this summer. And I wouldn't rule out anything else crazy happening. I really, really wouldn't. I want to talk about one player, João Felix. Now, he actually ruled out moving anywhere in June, right? So João Felix at Madrid, he ruled out moving anywhere at the end of June. But if João Felix was available, I would go and buy him as a replacement for Rashford. I really would. He'd probably be 100 million, 80, 100 million. But I think we wouldn't get that much less for Rashford. I think we should be looking at at least 60 million at the very least for Rashford. I really think we should be looking at that at least. And I'd look at João Felix. I really would. But the issue is that Felix he said already this summer he's not moving. So that's not realistic this summer. But that's something I'll keep an eye on as well. João Felix, top player. Eric says, imagine we lose Rashford and Ronaldo in a short span of days before deadline day. The board would certainly panic. Yeah, I think that's the issue, Eric. It's like lack of planning. Really is a lack of planning. Like, if you look at the amount of players we've lost this summer, Eric, on a free, Matic, Mata, Lingard, Pogba, these type of players, you'd argue all 4 of those players could have left earlier. Particularly Lingard should have left last summer. Should Pogba have ever been signed by United? Although he gave us some good moments in terms of trophies, etc. There was the whole debacle around Pogba. You look at Mata, as well. He sort of, although he's a top pro and everything, he maybe overstayed his time. So you look at what's happened now, Rick, and you are right. It's a worry because you just know what Man United have done in previous years in terms of panicking at the end. You look at the likes of Spurs, how well they've recruited this summer and how planned it's been. I know they had their manager in last season so they could plan before, but still you look at the way that Spurs have done business this summer, how efficient it's been, so yeah, it is a panic. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about losing Rashford in terms of what Rashford will miss from Rashford. I'm worried about, well, in terms of numbers, we're threadbare. We really are. We need some numbers in the door. So that's what I'm worried about. Big up, Chaz. I would take the deal. Yeah, Miles. It's crazy to think how optimistic we were about the squad for Bruno and Pogba. Yeah, Matic, Bruno and Pogba midfield. You know, number 11 on the right, Martial, Rashford. It's all come to a stall, hasn't it? Really? Yeah, I agree. It's top quality. Elianteno, Rashford offers nothing. Yeah, I don't think he offers as much at all at the moment. And I think that's the same. I think it's the same for quite a few players, Elianteno as well. Like, I think there's a lot of players in our squad that don't really offer us a lot, and I think it would be best just to move them on. So yeah, my general thoughts, guys. Please smash a like on the video, guys, if you're enjoying this talk. Just to sort of a summary talk about Marcus Rashford. This isn't a place to hate on anyone or to praise anyone, you know, to be a god. This is always a place just to be honest, have an honest discussion. No agendas against any players. It's always just just an honest discussion with me and you guys watching as well. But for me, guys, I think Marcus Rashford, I think it would be time to sort of part ways. I think he has really sort of, what would be the word? Not disrespected. Maybe he's really let the club down. I think so have many other players, particularly last season, the way he performed, the way he didn't work. I remember one game, I can't remember what game it was, he didn't even run to get the rebound for a shot, and he would have probably got to the ball and scored if he did. So I think Rashford, look, I think he's had his time, like many other players. I would be happy to sell the likes of Martial, Ronaldo, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, whoever you want to say, literally anyone in this squad, other than the new signings and maybe Sancho, I would actually be happy to sell. I really would, just because I think a lot of these players have had their time. Obviously, I'm going to support them while they're here, and if Rashford stays, I hope he does well. But I think a lot of these players have had their time. They've been here long enough. They haven't been consistent enough, and at times they've really let the club down. So, you know, if Rashford wants to go, I'm happy to let him go for the right price as long as we get a replacement in. Arik, Dion could end up as another Pogba. Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good comment, Arik, because if you Ten Hag can't turn water into wine, and if you've got wine and water around you, your performances are going to be worse, aren't they? If you like that analogy, if that makes sense. So, you know, I think you're totally right. And that's why I've said, Arik, throughout the window, I've always felt that we needed another midfielder. Like, realistically, I think we need a right back. We need another goalkeeper probably to back up Heaton. We need two midfielders. We probably need two forward players, maybe even three if Rashford leaves. The thing is, Arik, we probably need so many players. I know we can't do it all this summer, but we've spent 55 million net spend or something like that this summer, which just isn't anywhere near good enough. So you are right. If Ten Hag doesn't have the right players around him, he'll suffer as well. So you're totally right. Yeah, Adil, thanks for coming along, mate. I would certainly take that. I think Ismail Assar is a very good player. I know Neto's just signed a new contract until 2027, I think. So he'd be quite pricey. Maybe that's a deal to do in the future. But I would prefer the likes of Elise as well. Maybe Kalajdzic from Stuttgart, another attacking option we've got there. And then you can maybe move the likes of a Martial back to the left if Ten Hag thinks he'd fit there. But yeah, honestly, Adil, I've said this before, we need numbers right now. I'm not saying go out there and buy player A, B, C from any place. I'm just saying if there's the right profile out there for Ten Hag right now, you've got to go and back him. And what I don't get with the Glazers, obviously, the Glazers are obviously trying to save money wherever they can. But if they were to invest in this squad, that gives them more chance of getting into the Champions League, which then gives them more money. So I really don't understand. So if the Glazers ran this club properly, and they invest money, yes, they invest money, but they invest the club's money, if that makes sense. So they don't really invest it; they just spend the club's money. Yeah, so they don't invest any money themselves; they just use the club's money. But if they were to put in extra money from themselves, if they were to put money in rather than taking money out, this club could improve. If they put the right structure in, this club would improve. This club could be successful again. This club would sustain Champions League finishes. We'd go further in the Champions League. We'd do better in the league. We'd get more money. We'd win more trophies. And then I wouldn't mind if the Glazers took some money away at the end. You know what I mean? So, like, I just don't get why the Glazers don't. I just don't get it. I really don't. Like, you could have got the fans on side, but by investing in this football club, by not taking money out of the football club. If you put money in the football club and made it successful, you could make you'd be better businessmen. You'd be more efficient. So honestly, guys, I don't get it. I just think the Glazers. I think they could have done so much better with this club, and sort of the effects of this sort of Glazer management and the ownership is showing now. Miles, also think if we sell Rashford and replace Maddock, it would signify a real change. Yeah, exactly. If you don't perform well, you're out the door. Same with, I'm going to say this about every player. I wouldn't mind, as I've said before, most of these players, I wouldn't mind selling them. Of course, I've got players, as all of you guys have. We've all got players that we prefer. But at the end of the day, I don't like this player FC nonsense. It's Manchester United. Manchester United is here. The players are here. The staff, the entity will hopefully, Manchester United will always be there. We hope so. Manchester United will hopefully always be there. The staff and the players are always going to change. There's not going to be a member of staff or a player that's going to be there forever. So the entity will hopefully, we hope it, we expect it, the entity will always stand. The stadium will always be there, hopefully, or if we get a new stadium. The sort of the foundations of Manchester United are always going to be there, but the employees, the staff and the players are always going to change. So if the staff or the players aren't doing a good enough job and sort of making the entity not good, or sort of putting the standards of the entity down, or not performing well enough for the entity, then those players or staff need to go. You know what I mean? So I think you're right, Miles. I think we've got to make big decisions. We've got to really see this change. If you don't do well enough, you're out the door. It's as simple as that. This is Manchester United. Alien Tenor. I've had this conversation with someone on Twitter. Ahmad and Pellistri are good young players, right? That I'm not saying they're poor, but you can't rely on them as first team players right now. You know what I mean? Like, they're good squad players to have. You know what I mean? They're good squad players to have, players that we can use, and players that can play cup matches, etc. But they're not players that you can sort of rely on for a whole season, especially with the World Cup year. So yes, we can use those players, but not first team starters for me. That's my personal view. I think Ahmad's probably got the best chance, but again, he needs to be embedded in slowly and with the right development, with the right players around him. He can't just be shoved into a pressurised environment and expect him to perform. Then he'll get loads of hate, and then everyone will call him crap, and then that's the end of another player. You know what I mean? So it's about timing, I think, these young players. Exactly. Good point, Miles. I mean, Lindelof probably, Varane if he's fit, Maguire if he's fit, Shaw isn't guaranteed, Dalot isn't guaranteed, De Gea's not in the squad anymore, Fred probably will play, McTominay probably will play, Bruno probably, Martial maybe not, Rashford maybe not, Sancho maybe not. So I think you're right, Miles. I think you made a good point there. I think probably the majority of our centre backs will get in. Fred and McTominay will get in because it's Scotland. No disrespect to any Scottish people, but obviously the quality of that team is not on the same level as other nations. Fred would probably get in because he tends to perform quite well in the 8 role for Brazil. But you're right, Miles. There wouldn't be. I think the majority wouldn't. Especially the forward players, the likes of Martial, Sancho, and Rashford. The way they're playing at the moment, they wouldn't. That's another good point, Ellie and Tenno. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That's a good point. It could actually be something positive. If you don't play them, you know what they can do. Yeah. Well, I think this conversation around Rashford is interesting, guys. As I said, please leave a like on the video if you're enjoying. I'm sorry, I keep looking at my phone. I'm just checking on news, guys. I'm just checking on any Rashford news. I'm just checking on any news just to make sure. See if I've missed anything. Here we go. We've got another report here. It seems unlikely that Manchester United would even consider an offer for Rashford. That's by Sammy Mockbell and Chris Wheeler. So I'm going to get that up actually, guys. I'm going to get this up on the share screen just to show you guys some of the latest news around Rashford. But yes, this is important news. Okay, let me share my screen, guys, and we can have a look at this news. So this is big news, really. Manchester United looks like they're a bit reluctant to sell, etc. So this is the news, guys. This is the news. So Erik ten Hag, let's start from here. So it seems unlikely that Manchester United would even consider an offer for Rashford. I honestly think this is quite farcical. Like, honestly, it really is. Like, I think Manchester United do this a lot. Like, they don't accept when it's time up. You know what I mean? I think that's something that Manchester United don't. I think we did it with Pogba, Lingard as well. We just don't let players go when we should, and I think this is the time to let Rashford go. You know, he might go and have a great career at PSG. Okay, that's fine. You know, it's just time now for me just to part ways. I really think that. So I don't see why we're so reluctant. If it's Ten Hag's decision, fair enough, but I don't think it is. I think it's probably you know what the Glazers are like, and they have their favourites. They don't want to lose big assets, etc. They don't want to sort of accept that it's time up. Another report here, Erik ten Hag wants to sign another forward before the transfer window shuts, regardless of if Rashford stays or not. Yeah, I'd hope that Ten Hag wants two, if regardless if Rashford stays, to be honest, with how bare our squad is. But I'd imagine if Rashford were to go, we'll sign at least two, which would be good. Let me just refresh, guys, because there's news coming out all the time on Marcus Rashford. But please, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments on Marcus Rashford. Big news this evening. A little bit surprising. Yeah, as somebody's already commented, the interest could yet be used as a leverage in future negotiations over a new deal. Somebody's said that before, and Rashford is expected to be a key part of Ten Hag's plans. So there you go. There you go. You know, it looks like we've got some news coming out here. Obviously, there's lots of different news, conflicting reports as always, from what I've seen. But it looks like Manchester United, and we know Manchester United will probably be quite reluctant to get rid of Marcus Rashford. You know, but for me, it's time to go. I really do. I think it's time to go. You know, I just think it's time to part ways, personally. But they're my thoughts, guys. Any other thoughts, get them in the comments. If not, guys, I'm going to call it an evening on YouTube. Obviously, I've done a show already today. This is my second show. But please, guys, if you're watching later on as well, let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. If you're watching now and you want to leave anything else, let me know in the comments in the live show. If you're watching later on, you can always comment later on in the other comments section, guys. So yeah, guys, as always, thanks a lot for coming along. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Good talk tonight about Marcus Rashford. Let's see what happens. Not worried if he leaves in terms of what we'd miss from him, but I'm worried if he leaves in terms of replacements. We've got to make sure that we bring in replacements if Rashford leaves. So that's it, guys. Please leave a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new. And let's see what happens with Marcus Rashford. You know, if he does leave, thank you for the times that he's brought us, you know, the goals that he scored, the assists he's got, etc. And all the best for the future if he were to leave. If he stays, knuckle down, work hard, and let's hope that he can produce some better form for us, guys. But anyway, guys, as always, please leave a like, please subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys later. Cheers, guys.